more participants, so I'm glad to see that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. It's almost 2:05, so I just want to formally welcome you all to the 2020 Summer Bridge program and the financial aid presentation. This is a financial aid presentation for our our students here. Let me just introduce you to Eduardo Velasquez. He's our financial aid representative, and he, it's such an honor to have him here with us because he, just like yourself, he is also an EOP student. Well, he's not an EOP alum. So without further ado, Eduardo, go ahead and welcome you to the presentation, and he'll be our presenter for today. So thank you, Eduardo.
Thank you very much, Jesus. Yes, my name is Eduardo Vasquez. I work at the financial aid office here at Sonoma State University. Yes, and I am an EOP alum. I went to Sonoma State in 2009 and graduated in 2014, double majored with sociology and Chicano studies. And it is quite an honor to be here now, to be able to present to the incoming class of 2020-2021 EOP and Puerta students. So I welcome you all. Very exciting times to come in college during this pandemic. With this being said, I mean, we try to make the most with what is going on. But also, before I jump on a little bit, I don't think I had the opportunity to also introduce a colleague, and her name is Rosa Salamanca. So Rosa, if you want to introduce yourself just a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Eduardo. Welcome everyone. Welcome Summer Bridge students. I hope that most of you, if not all of you, probably have heard me before or know a little bit about me. But as Eduardo mentioned, my name is Rosa Salamanca, and I'm the coordinator for the Dream Center at Sonoma State University, primarily to provide support for undocumented students as well. A little bit about me. I completed my undergraduate career at CSU Northridge, double major in psychology and Central American Studies. I am actually a student right now in the master's programs for public administration at Sonoma State. So I work in the day and I go to school at night. And I navigated higher education as an undocumented student. So I'm happy to talk to you a little bit more about navigating Sonoma State as well. I am also the scholar advisor for the Dream the US, so I will be working with some of you more closely. But I'm always happy to provide support to anybody. You don't have to be a Dream the US recipient to also be part of our program. So welcome to Sonoma State, and we're happy to help you however possible.
Perfect. Thank you. And then before we get started, Eduardo, I just want to say that this webinar is being recorded. So please make sure if you have more personal questions, you're definitely going to be able to chat. And also if it's more of like personal question or, question, please go ahead and use a Q&A. That if you want to share something with everyone, go ahead and put it in the chat box. But then if you have more questions, more one-on-one support, feel free to reach out to Rosa or Eduardo. And they will be more than happy to help you out. Rosa, if you could please put in your contact info on the chat box, and Eduardo will have his contact all the way at the end. So yeah, thank you so much, Eduardo, and the floor is yours now.
Thank you. All right, so today we're going to be talking about and focusing about the California DREAM Act. So the California DREAM application is an application in order to receive state aid. So before we jump into the details of that, I just want to briefly go over the cost overview at Sonoma State University. Now, right now on our website, we're still working on determining what the registration charges are going to be for this upcoming year. Due to the pandemic, it's going to only go less. So right now, there's not a set amount determined for registration charges. And registration charges generally are basically like facility fees, health center fees, recreation center fees. So some of those fees in the past, students would pay a flat rate across all students participating at the university. With the situation going on with the pandemic, those fees are going to actually either go less because the fact of students not being able to have access to all of the campus facilities, health centers, and so forth. Anyhow, so there's university charges, the mandatory registration charges that we talked about. So that's subject to change, and it's only going to go less. There's on-campus housing and meal plans. So there's for students from most students, I assume, are going to be going to school from home, meaning that you're going to be at your home and you're going to be doing online classes. Now, some students, depending on their situation, they may seek on-campus housing. That is a conversation between the student and the housing office to see what arrangements you can fit in during these times. Now, while in college, you have other educational related expenses. There's books, there's transportation, there's parking permit, there's miscellaneous day-to-day expenses. Again, all of that right now is in the air because not many students are going to be driving to campus. Not many students are going to be relying on transportation from campus and off campus. Whether, you're going to be mainly stationary if you're working or going to school from home. So, but remember, the books will be available, for students to purchase in many places. There's folks that get them online. There's folks that get them, buy them at bookstores. So it really depends on how you go about finding and locating the books you need. Because one of the things I say is that you pay as much as what you can are able to find the price. So if you're going to want to buy a brand new book, you can pay top dollar versus finding it maybe as an ebook or finding it used, however works best for you at a lower price. Miscellaneous day-to-day expenses generally is when you need money for gasoline, or you need money for food, or money for just general miscellaneous expenses, toothbrush, toothpaste. But again, most students are going to be going to school from home, and living with their parents. So most of that is already covered, if you will. But then again, moving to the next bullet point, the deposits. So you guys paid deposits in the beginning, the enrollment reservation deposit, and just want to note that deposit is only a one-time deposit for your first semester. You don't need to pay that amount again for the future semesters. It's only the first time during your freshman year, or if you're transferring in from a junior college. But other than that, you won't be paying a enrollment reservation deposit. However, the housing deposit is something that the student could pay in the future, as in the future semesters or future academic years. That's if they demonstrate interest in applying for on-campus housing. In order for housing to reserve a space for the student, there is a housing deposit that needs to be made usually it's before the academic year ends, especially for students that are going to be continuing on. You pay a deposit, so your dorm for the next year is secure. What is financial aid? So financial aid generally is money given or paid or loaned to help pay for college. Gift aid is grants and scholarships. Self-help aid is loans, money borrowed that must be repaid. Now, what is the California DREAM Act? The California DREAM Act allows undocumented and non-resident documented students who meet certain provisions to apply for and receive private scholarship, state-administered financial aid, university grants, and Cal grants. Who can apply? Students who live in California and meet the eligibility requirements of Assembly Bill AB 540, Senate Bill SB 2000, Senate Bill SB 68. Students who have a U visa, students who have a temporary protective status, and undocumented students with or without deferred action for childhood arrivals, known as DACA. Students must have graduated or will graduate from a California high school or obtain a certificate or general education development, GED, file an AB 540 affidavit with the college or university, will register or enroll in an accredited and qualifying California college or university. If you are a male between the ages of 18 and 25, you are required to register with the Selective Service System. So how to apply? The Dream App application is available October 1st. The way you go about applying is online. The link is the dream.csac.ca.gov. It's very important to apply starting as early as October 1st and no later than March 2nd. Submit the GPA verification form to apply for Cal Grants. It's usually the dates traditionally no later than March 2nd, and I want to highlight this is for the GPA verification only. So the GPA verification no later than March 2nd, but due to COVID-19, it was extended to September 2nd, 2020. But the California Dream application must be completed before March 2nd. So you might want to write that down and bold it or highlight it however you like. But it is very important that the Dream Act is in before March 2nd, because for folks who submit their application after March 2nd, their Dream application after that date, then in most cases, they are ineligible for state aid. And it is very unfortunate. There has been some students in the past who forget to apply their Dream application, and they are in a dilemma with no Cal Grant, no state grants available to them. So when you complete the Dream application with all required information, you must include your email address on the Dream application. You must make sure you always save your work, and then you sign your application using your student or parent signature. And that's usually towards the end of the Dream application, as you may recall. And also keep copies of your Dream application, your tax forms, any documents used to complete it. Make sure you have that on hand. If you have a file for it somewhere where you can store it safely and you can always go back to it, that'd be great, because the financial aid office at a later point, they may request copies of that. And we'll talk more about that later on.
Something to add, Eduardo, as we go, just a reminder for you all, this is something that this is an application that you apply every single year. So it's not that you just apply your senior year in high school and that's it. You have to apply every single year that you are pretty much attending for school. So everything goes ahead of time. So you applied last year for your incoming year. So starting October 1st of 2020, the 2021-2022 financial aid application will go live. So that's when you have to, make sure that you apply every single year. So the last point is keeping copies and keeping all of that information. It's really important.
Yes, and I can't emphasize that anymore. I mean, the Dream application every year, you must apply. You have to apply it as you move forward. Right now you're going in as freshmen, most of you, and so by the time October 1st, 2020, this upcoming October, that's when the application will become available, right? And you want to make sure you submit the application before March 2nd, 2021. The application that's going to be available is going to count towards the 2021-2022 academic year, okay? Just wanted to make sure you guys are aware that this is not a one-time thing. This is an application that has to be done every year for you to have financial aid consideration. So how does this work? So once you filed your Dream application, CSAC stands for the California Student Aid Commission. So once they take your information, they will process it and send your application to the schools that you listed on your application. So many of you that were probably going to be that we're going to go to other schools potentially, you have the opportunity to list all the schools you want your information to go to. Now, if you continue, and we hope you continue to stay with Sonoma State University, every year you renew your application, you just make sure that Sonoma State, the school is listed on your application. So then we can process it and determine what your eligibility is. So by October 1st, all public and charter high schools electronically upload the GPAs for seniors that do not opt out. Qualifying for a Cal Grant is not automatic as it is a need-based program. The DREAM applications, again, must be submitted March 2nd. I don't, I might be sounding redundant, but I just want to make sure that you guys understand that March 2nd, every academic year, that's like the last day you can apply for the DREAM application. And it's important that you do it before March 2nd, ideally, because some students sometimes do wait last minute, and then they're really playing whether or not they make that deadline.
Eduardo, I was just going to add quickly, the Dream Center also provides support. If anybody has any questions when you're completing your application and whatnot, right, you're always welcome to reach out to us, and we're also typically also reach out to you. We call you, email you, reminding you about the deadline so that you also don't miss it. But we also need for you to also be able to stay in contact with us as well too. So make sure that you utilize us as well too, so that you don't have to navigate this process completely by yourself.
Thank you, Rosa. Yeah, and so this is more of a visual of what I was just talking about, how it works. So the student and parent, that's like the first step of the process. This is where you go online and you fill out your DREAM application. And once you submit your application, it goes to the federal or to the state processor, right? And the state processor takes that information and they say, oh, okay, this is all the information we got from the student and parent. Okay, and this is where they also identify, okay, the student listed the following school to get the information, to receive the information. So in this case, the processor sends it to Sonoma State University. We get the information, and not all the times, but some students, and I would say probably a good handful of students, are selected for verification. So this happens when there's some information reported that the school wants follow-up and clarification on. And this is the part where on your to-do list, on your MySSU account, you may have seen some documents listed like the dependent household size form, the student non-filer statement form, and perhaps your parents' copies of their taxes, right? So this is then the student notifies the college, the Sonoma State notifies the student, and the student then has to act by providing the documents that, the financial aid office at Sonoma State is requesting. And until we get that information, we're going to be waiting until we collect what is being asked for. And then once we have it, once you mail it or email it or fax it to our office, then we can finish the verification process and then determine a financial aid award for you. So the different kinds of financial aid available is the Cal Grant A and B, the Chafee Grant, Middle Class Scholarship, their state university grants. Those who are in the EOP program get the EOP grants. There's also other university scholarships that students can apply and potentially receive, and also some private scholarships. So if you're graduating from high school and you're coming in as a first-time freshman, you probably apply to many scholarships before coming to college. And those scholarships, we also you just report them to our scholarship office, so we make sure we're aware of what aid you've been getting for to fund your college expenses. So the Cal Grant is a state grant. The amounts are prorated according to the number of units you are enrolled per term. So a full-time student is 12 units. So if you're in 12 units, you're considered full-time. for financial aid. If you are in 6 units, you're half-time. So I assume most of you will be in full-time. And if you're receiving the Cal Grant and are in full-time, then that's great, because that means that you'll get the maximum amount you've been offered of the Cal Grant. Now, if you've been offered a Cal Grant and you're less than 12 units, let's say you're taking 8 units or 7 or 11, then you won't be able to receive the maximum amount of that Cal Grant, because the Cal Grant award is prorated based on the number of units you're in. So you basically, once you go less than 12 units, you expect to receive less money of that award. And yeah, and it's also, to qualify for that, subject to income and asset ceilings. And what that means is basically, just because you were awarded Cal Grant, let's say for this academic year, we hope, you know, that you continue to receive the Cal Grant. But there are times where, let's say there was a change of income, where maybe one of the parents got a new job and they started earning more money. So then that can affect your overall eligibility. It goes based on the income, the total household income, and the number in the household. So, you know, right now, if I don't have the chart available, but basically, if the number is one number now for the 2021 academic year, for the following, it could be different and you may not get it. But if it's roughly around the same and consistent, and there hasn't been no drastic changes as it, you know, as income increases, then you may continue to receive that. The middle class scholarship is a scholarship that provides undergraduate students with families of incomes up to $177,000. It gives them an opportunity to receive a scholarship while attending a California State University.
I have a question before we go forward, Eduardo. When it comes to it, you know, it's going to be for this one and the previous slide. Let's say, you know, my parents, you know, we're going to flip it around. You know, I know you talked about increase in income. Students will not be able to get financial aid, or at least a Cal Grant. What if, you know, in 2018, because that's pretty much the information students utilize and families utilize to file their application, their financial aid application. What if there was a change of income from 2018 till now because of COVID? What can a student do?
Yes, and I do have a slide later that I will talk about that.
Perfect.
Well, just to briefly answer your question, it's a special circumstance. So I will talk about special circumstance it's one of my slides towards the end, but thank you for bringing up that point, as many families, especially have been laid off due to COVID, and many families' incomes have been affected. So, you know, we will talk about how you can benefit from that later on. So one of the things when you fill out your DREAM application, avoid errors. So avoid errors really delays and possibly the loss of financial aid if that's filled out incorrectly, if there's information that was misreported. You know, for example, there's sometimes students, they add information of their parents that they actually made, when in reality their parents made less, but they over-reported their income. So what does that do? Most times it will affect their eligibility, and the students won't qualify for certain financial aid. And then later, you know, the student contacts our office saying, hey, how come I didn't get this award that I did last year? And so we can go look back to see what was the cause of that, right? Oh, well, this is what you reported. There's an increase of parental income, right? And then in that case, the student says, well, actually, my parents didn't make that much. And so then that's when we can say, okay, they get institutionally selected for verification, meaning that we will take in any of the tax forms to make sure that the information is actually correct based on the document that we receive. So again, frequent frequent dream application errors. So if you or your parents don't have a social security number, students often put their individual taxpayer identification number, known as an ITIN. So if in the section that asks for social security information, what you do is you just put all zeros. You don't put your ITIN number if you have one. That's totally different than what they're asking for. So if you or your parents don't have a social security number, all you need to do is add all zeros. And sometimes I've heard that the system will it will bring up a error message, but I know that if you try it the second time around, you can override that and it will accept all the zeros. So you want to always go by your real name, not your nicknames or parents' nicknames. You always go by your real names. Make sure that the information you put is at the time you fill out the dream application. So if your parents are divorced, widowed, remarried, parental information, if let's say when you filled out your dream application, and let's say a month, 2 months later after you submitted your dream application, let's say a parent dies or there has been a divorce, and if that due to that change there has been a drastic change of your income, of your family's income, then at a later point you want to consider the special circumstance request that we're going to talk about more towards the end. But that does happen. But you always want to make sure you list what the current marital status is at the time you're filling out the dream application. The income, the household size, the number in family attending college, any drug conviction questions, and signature page. Just make sure when you fill out all of this information on your dream, make sure you have all the paperwork in order to fill it out as best as you can. So when you submit your dream application, it doesn't mean that that's it. It doesn't mean that you can relax and expect an award offer, because many of the times you submit the application, you most likely you will hear from the university, and you will hear from the university because they might be requesting documents. So always be checking your emails. Always be make it a habit if that's not a habit yet, because the thing is that your financial aid award may be delayed just because we maybe have sent you something a month ago or 2 months ago, but you haven't seen that on your emails, and then you discover there's something on your emails that was being requested. So you just want to make sure you're on top of your emails, and if the school is requesting documents from you, make sure you turn them in as soon as possible so nothing gets delayed.
Thank you. And then Eduardo, in regards to email, which email should students be, I know we've been sharing this with them, which email should they be checking? Is it their personal email or their SSU email?
Preferably the Sonoma State University email. That's the one you want to be checking, because that's how the university conducts business, as communicating to the student. We communicate directly to your SSU email. In some cases, for first-time students, generally when I send an email to a student, I generally will CC them on their personal email, because knowing that most students are accustomed and used to using their personal emails, I try to always CC them in both the Seawolf email and their personal. But you do have to always be checking your Sonoma State email regardless from now on, especially as you're moving up in the ranks as a sophomore, junior, senior, because that's the main point of communication is to your university email.
Thank you.
Yeah, so so all of these notifications are always addressed to the student. The student must regularly check their, again, it says here, SSU email, and to check their My SSU to-do list. Students can set up a guest username for a parent or a third party to access their financial aid account. The instructions are found. There's the URL, sonoma.edu/Seawolf services. So again, if you want to set up a guest username for a third party or a parent that wants to have access to, to your financial aid information, you can do so by following the instructions on this link. Students must keep their home and mailing address current through MySSU. So make sure that you always have your information up to date, because let's say in the future, you get a financial aid award and that award ends up being a reimbursement to you. What usually will happen is that we will either direct deposit that check or that money to you. But the thing is that you must opt in to enroll in direct deposit. There is a setting on your MySSU, on your student center, where you can actually go, I believe it's under finances, and there's a section that says enroll in direct deposit. That's the most convenient, most fastest way to get any reimbursement money routed into your bank account. If you don't feel comfortable, or if you don't have a bank account, no worries. You don't have to opt in. That's just a convenience. What happens then, if we don't have nothing on file for you, we default to using your mailing address. So which is also important, yet you have to have your information always current and up to date, because you don't want whatever reimbursement check you get down the road, you don't want it to get lost and go somewhere it shouldn't go. So once your financial aid file is reviewed and verified, you will get an email award offer. And this award offer notification will go to your Seawolf email account, and it will basically let you know that your financial aid is available on your MySSU account. It won't tell you all the details of your award on this email. It's just letting you know, hey, you should go check your account on your MySSU account, and there's a section where it says view and or accept awards, and you can click on that and you'll be able to see the breakdown of what you've received. Generally, you can generally the grants, any grants, Cal Grants, State University grants, let's say any other grants that you get, those generally are auto accepted, which means you don't have to accept those, or don't worry about having to accept those, because the system will automatically accept those for you. There at times there are certain awards where you may need to accept or decline. For students receiving, general FAFSA financial aid awards, like sometimes those students get offered, student loans through the federal government. In that situation, those students would have to accept or decline. But unfortunately, these federal student loans are not eligible for the California Dream application. Now, if you're in a situation where you want to, let's say, look into possibly getting out loans, then that would be something you would need to contact the financial aid office for more information. There is a thing called a California Dream Loan. The funding for that program, I don't think it's very broad, it's not very big, but that's something, it's based on what the budget is, and that's sometimes an option. But remember that the loans will have to be, it's money borrowed that you will need to pay back, you need to repay. So I know most students, if they can, they try to shy away from taking out any sort of loans. But if it's something where you are in need of additional resources, then you can inquire with the financial aid office for more information on that. So one thing is getting your financial aid award, but the other thing is how to keep and maintain your financial aid award. So as incoming students, you're given money through the California Dream application that helps you pay for your educational expenses. So, but it's subject to other things and how to maintain it. So there's a process that we call the satisfactory academic progress. So if you know, let's say you come in as a freshman in the fall semester, and let's say you know, we don't want this to ever happen, but let's say you fail your classes. Let's say you fail all of your classes. So what does that mean is that by the time grades are posted towards the end of the fall semester, we have to run a manual process in the financial aid office for all students, which identifies students that failed all their classes or failed several classes. For example, you can be taking 12 units, and let's say you only pass 5 units. So that puts you in financial aid probation. But let's say if you took 12 units and let's say you just failed one class, that puts you, let's say this class was a 4-unit class, so that puts you at 8 units. That will put you in financial aid warning. So the point is that we don't want you to fail your class. We want you to do your best. We want you to pass. Now this is a transition that students go from high school to college, and we want to make sure you get the most out of this experience and you get really good grades. So then down in the future, you can go and seek the profession that you are aspiring for. So, but it happens. We understand that sometimes this wasn't your greatest semester. However, it just wanted to let you know it does take at times multiple or several attempts. We give students the opportunity to continue to get their financial aid. But if you're in that situation in the future where you have, and you will be notified if you actually are on probation or on warning, and we will send you instructions on how to go about remediating that situation by appealing to our office and letting us know what went wrong, what happened, and what are you planning to do moving forward to make sure that does not happen again, that you will do your best. So don't worry if you had a bad semester. There are ways to remediate that, but that's not the priority. That's not the goal that you're going for. Who goes to college to willingly not do good? I don't think nobody would raise their hands. I think everybody wants to strive to do their best. So that's important, but that's just for the financial aid office. There is another department that handles GPAs. They look at GPA performance. So that's the Office of Admissions and Records, and there's a thing where you're financial aid disqualified. But believe me, to get to financial aid disqualification takes a lot for a student to reach to that point. So don't worry about reaching that ever, at least any point, anytime soon. Just strive to do your best and you'll be in good shape. But if the GPAs are ongoing, are very low, like let's say a 1.9 for the fall and then another 1.8 in the spring, then the Office of Admissions and Records have a process that's known for academic disqualification. And students do get warnings in advance by looking at their emails if you have been placed in that situation. So that they handle that process totally different than when the financial aid. But I'm just letting you aware that there is such a thing to be mindful of. And that is why also you want to do your best, but also be checking your emails. Just because, let's say, the school finished in the fall semester and you're in winter vacation, just because it's winter vacation doesn't mean that our offices have stopped working. We still work. We still send emails to folks, and also the same goes for the summer. Just because most students are enjoying their summer vacation, but the admissions, the financial aid, the EOP, we still communicate to students. So just be mindful that to stay up to date and to know what's going on, is by checking your email. All right, special circumstances. So the special circumstances are, we, the financial aid office, do administer these by making adjustments to a student's dream application information on a case-by-case basis. So special circumstances often include a change of dependency status, a change in income or employment, whether it's from the student or from the parents, okay? A change of child support, a change in parent marital status. So as Jesus mentioned earlier on, the DREAM application for the 2021 academic year is focusing on 2018 income information, okay? So if your financial aid was, and your financial aid was based on that information, but let's say due to COVID, your parents, let's say, got laid off and have not been working since, and the income right now of your parents is considerably low than it was in 2018. In that situation, then you can definitely look into a special circumstance packet. So in order for you to get a special circumstance packet, it is available on our financial aid office website. I believe you go to the financial aid office website, First and Nome State, there is a tab on the left-hand side of the financial aid office website that's called Other Forms and Instructions. So you would click that link, and then it prompt you for more options of more different types of forms on the left. And you want to click on the one that says special circumstance request. And it does say there's several types. There's some that are focused towards, is it the student special circumstance or is it a parent special circumstance? Further instructions are on that packet. So again, we take this, we take the information you're telling us what has changed, and if you believe this is something that may qualify you for more financial aid based on this new situation, we will take that and we will evaluate it. There are times that students do submit these packets for legitimate reasons, but they are already at a, let's say at a 0 EFC, at a, or this, basically if your financial need, or if your EFC is 0, and that you do have a legitimate special circumstance, then once we get that, we won't process it because you're already at the highest need possible based on what we already collected on your 2008 income as a 0 EFC. So in times, if your EFC is already, your family's EFC is high, and if we evaluate it and determine there is a significant impact, then we can potentially consider that. But just remember that if you are submitting a special circumstance request to the financial aid office, we do this preliminary review of what you're providing, but we may ask for more documents from you. For example, if it's a loss of income due to employment, we're probably going to ask for like the most recent pay stubs or the last pay stubs received with the year-to-date earnings. Because when we take these special circumstances, not just they set and done, because most times we need more documents for us to be able to verify the whole picture, not just what, we don't take things at face value. We need something to back that up. Do you have any questions, Jesus or Rosa?
No, and don't, I know it could be a cumbersome process, but if that's the case, please work with Eduardo. He's our liaison. Work with your advisor, work with, the financial aid office, because we don't want for you to be, going through this, especially, those students who are not EFC of 0, and you did find that, your parents did experience a loss of income or a loss of job due to COVID. Please work with them. It could be, yes, they're going to require you to do submit information and documentation, but it is something that we highly recommend because that's something that's going to benefit you in the long run, especially because, if it's just giving you, $2,000 more because it changed, who doesn't want to get those $2,000 more of free money? So, if that's your situation, obviously we're not here to tell you to lie because, financial aid, it's pretty much, it's a watchdog for the IRS and for the government, but they're here to help you get the most financial aid that you qualify for. And even if it means that there's a change of income, don't get tired by the process. We'll be here to help you out with every step of the way.
Yeah, so as Jesus mentioned, and not just for special circumstance, I'm just saying this for in general, for the financial aid related, any questions, any questions you may have that revolve around financial aid in general, you do have the you have me, as I work in the financial aid office, but you also have Jesus, you have Rosa, and you have your advisors who are there to support you. If you need, assistance from your advisor, then what happens, your advisor then can connect with the office and have like a, three-way conversation on how to resolve your situation.
Thank you, Eduardo.
Yeah. So scams and frauds, here a little Inspector Gadget. Yeah, so basically be wary. They're, not especially nowadays, with folks, how you hear, oh, my identity has been stolen, or they're giving me a call and they leave threatening voicemails that they're going to call the police on me or anything, and be very wary of those phone calls. Personally, for my best practice myself, whenever I get a call that's unrecognized, I'd rather not answer and just let it go to voicemail and then try to see what's going on. And then sometimes I do get these weird voicemails that sound intimidating because they're using fear tactics. Because when they put fear tactics on people, they get people to react in ways where they want to comply. And if you ever have doubt or you feel that somebody's trying to collect your financial aid information or your social or your any personal information of you contact your advisor, contact the financial aid office, and we can let you know if whether or not that was something that was legitimate or not. Also, never pay to get your dream application done. Okay, that's a big red flag. It should be a free. It's available for you for free, and no website should collect money from you to collect your information and do it for you. Here are some internet resources. So, you can screenshot them or write it down. They are useful. The first one is the California Student Aid Commission. That's where you get your dream application done. The second one is general financial aid information. The third one is the link for our financial aid office website. And then the last one is for resources for dream undocumented students, whether you can find, Rosa, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe students can actually go find a realm of scholarship awards or applications here.
Yes, that is correct. In Immigrants Rising, there is a list of scholarships available for students regardless of immigration status. We also provide that info through the Dream Center as well. We do send out weekly or monthly reminders about different scholarships, either through the newsletter or also through social media.
Great. So thank you, Rosa. And congratulations. And I hope you guys do the best. And remember, you guys are not alone. If you need any help, any questions, we're all here to serve you and to help you answer any questions you may have now or in the future.
Thank you, Eduardo, and thank you, Rosa, for being here, for being a wonderful support for our Summer Bridge participants. I do want to add something, as we get ready here. This is really important. This year, you got the information about what financial aid is. It is a lot of information for you to pretty much take. This year, we on your Canvas account under financial aid resources, we've listed some sort of information for you, some resources for you. I know someone asked what is a SUG, which stands for State University Grant. We have a financial aid terms or a glossary on your financial aid under financial aid resources, where you're able to go there and actually able to get that information. What is Cal Grant A? What is Cal Grant B? What is, just general information. What is a California Dream Act? That way you understand. It is a lot of information. We don't expect for you to know it all. We just expect for you to review it and reach out to us if you have any questions. Also, this is just in preparation for tomorrow. In there, you will also find a video showing you how to access a video how to access your financial aid award letter. So Eduardo said that you should be reaching out to you via your SSU email, either to let you know that you have been awarded, or either to let you know that you owe them some documentation. As I've been telling you, this is great because they will let you know, if this is information that you're providing, and let's say for some reason, instead of you saying that your parents make $30,000, you add an extra zero, they're able to review that information and they're able to go ahead and correct that information for you, obviously with the additional documentation they're requesting. So please make sure that if you have not been awarded, if you're not able to see your award letter, work with Eduardo. Tomorrow, you will also tomorrow morning, Rosa and I will be helping you understand your financial aid. You'll be doing an interactive worksheet. It's going to be an interactive work. It's not going to be something like this. This is a webinar. We're actually going to be doing a meeting where you'll be able to do your own math and contribute and identify how much money you're going to owe the university and how much money you're going to give back. Also, before I let Eduardo tell me, these are just estimates. These are not actuals, because as Eduardo said earlier today, the university is still trying to understand how much they're still trying to figure out how much they're going to charge you for the fees and all of that. So, this is just an estimate, but you'll get an idea. And Eduardo is scrolling down to, that was done last year for our, first last year's Summer Bridge participants. They have it on their websites because they see that it's an amazing tool for all of our students. And also, in preparation for tomorrow, if you don't have your financial aid award letter, work with Eduardo, work with the financial aid, and you could get an estimate. That could mean that perhaps you have not submitted all the documentation. Perhaps it's financial aid documentation. Perhaps it's a CSU residency questionnaire. Perhaps could be that, the AB 540 form. It could be many things. If you need help with those, reach out to, Rosa, reach out to your Summer Bridge advisor. They will be able to help you, or reach out to your financial aid person. Tomorrow, we'll have some people from 1 to 5. It's under Dave's day. What day are we in? On tomorrow's Summer Bridge agenda, we have you there. We have the links for the drop-ins. If you have any questions, if you need help understanding the document, jump into those Zoom sessions. Someone from financial aid, Jessica Kegley, will be there, and Evan will be there to help you understand those forms and get those in as soon as possible.
Yes, thank you, Jesus. And I just because for the sake of time, we finished a little early because I was supposed to finish at 3, so we're just right now 2 minutes away. And I just wanted to share with you the Financial Aid Office website. This is a very, very important resource that you can access from your computers at home. And a lot of you may have questions about what does this grant mean, or a lot of the terminology we use in financial aid. It's not something we expect you to hear on a day-to-day basis. I do because I'm around it. I work around it. But if you want to get familiar, whenever we say a certain word or certain name of an award and you don't really understand it, I invite you to, at your leisure time, to go and check out our website. And there's a section here on the left-hand side that talks about all the types of aid in detail. So I just clicked on types of aid, and then it tells me, okay, grant, scholarship, and other types of awards. So you just click on grants. It tells you about the Pell Grant, but Pell Grant are only for FAFSA eligible students. Also SEOG grants, FAFSA eligible. But here where we get to the state. So as Jesus mentioned, somebody said, what is SUG? It's State University Grant, right? And it does go in explaining as to, you know, the details of what this is. And then it goes on to Cal Grants, the types A's and B's, and the list just keeps going down. And then on the left-hand side, we do have a glossary. Thank you, Jesus, for pointing that out. You know, this is where, what is the word? These are terms that we use in financial aid. I mean, I don't expect you all to learn these, but it is helpful if you ever have questions. And there are other links here you can use. You know, just click around, get familiar with it if you can. I would recommend that. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you, Rosa, for participating and helping out, and Jesus.
No, thank you, Eduardo. It's such an honor working with you, and, you know, obviously out working and advocating for our students. You know, financial aid could be a very touchy, very difficult conversation to have with your parents. You know, make sure that, you know, if they need understanding as to what a loan is, you know, basic understanding. You know, we understand that you're not alone, that you're navigating, it's a family approach. It takes a village to pretty much see our students succeed. You know, you're not alone. You know, Rosa, I'm speaking on behalf of Rosa, but I'm sure she's there. Her center is there. She'll be able, you know, she's just another pillar. She's just another person who wants you to succeed. So, you know, use us as a resource, use us as a way for us to help you meet your educational goal, because we're not here to just get you through Summer Bridge. We're here to help you graduate and cross the stage in 4 years. And if we were able to do it, I know this is going to sound cliche, you are able to do it as well. Rosa?
Yes, no, thank you, Jesus. I was actually going to add, I did post in the chat that the Dream Center also hosts workshops throughout California Dream Act season to apply for the California Dream Act. And I know I'm happy that we're going to be able to have some financial aid reps tomorrow be able to assist with paperwork as well, if you have any. But beyond that, the Dream Center is also always available for you to be able to navigate financial aid and anything else that has to do with your academic career at Sonoma. So we're really happy to help you, work with you, support you, as Jesus said, not just for Summer Bridge, but beyond Summer Bridge as well too. So if you have any questions about any of this information that we talked about today, and you want to do a more one-on-one, either myself or Jesus, I'm sure, or somebody from the Dream Center is also happy to meet with you as well. So feel free to reach out to us. This is what we're here for, to make sure that you're succeeding and that we're all moving forward together as a community as well too. So we're happy to connect with you, and any questions that you have, as Jesus said, anything that might have to do even with your family members. I know that for families, sometimes it is a little bit difficult to understand some of these conversations as well too. If that is something that you would like me to do, I'm always happy to do that as well too. So long story short, please reach out, please stay tuned, check your emails. You will also get email from me and from the Dream Center, and make sure you follow us on social media if you haven't already. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, you all. You know, just remember, as we close this out, closed mouths don't get fed. So make sure that you just reach out. Unfortunately, we don't read minds. So go ahead and reach out to us. That's pretty much the end of it. We'll be making this accessible and available to you all. So just make sure that if you did not catch something or you need clarification on something else, feel free to reach out. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. to help you understand your financial aid and your financial aid obligations to Sonoma State. All right. Have a good one. Stay healthy and stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.